Das, we've just had two all-time finals in the week 2 of the AFL finals.
It's been unbelievable, Jev. We dissect both games. The Power are through to a prelim, and so are the Brisbane Lions. As always, Jev, we give away the best odds, we celebrate the winners, and we roast the losers.
The Swans are in a prelim, the Showies are in a prelim, and I'm going to be there next week at the SCG. Cats Lions is an all-time prelim. We preview that. We give it all. The Sunday roast. Tune in, listen, like, subscribe, share to a friend. Come on. Welcome back to the Week 2 edition of the Sunday Roast, the show that celebrates the winners and roasts the losers, the show that gives you all the best odds of the bets you weren't on but wish you were. We have just had two all-time finals, Das. Joining me as always, Darcy Ballard. Dope, how are you, brother?
All-time finals. If you could have drawn up how these games would have played out, you would have hoped for a close game, which they both were. But I reckon everyone was leaning the other fence on both sides. I think everyone thought the Hawks were going to get through and the Giants were going to get through. But it's just gone the other way. And I know, I was chatting to Morgs the other day, I know we've been massive on primetime underdogs, but Jev on Thursday, Friday night, but we just haven't really gone through with it this year. They're 3-0. Yeah. If you're an underdog on a Thursday or Friday night, they've just gotten through. Underdogs in these two games both got through. So you just don't know. It seems like it's going to be very basic. It's like, yep, this team's just getting through. But if there is a window, you cannot park the bus because a team is going to have a crack. And it's happened all year, hasn't it? I reckon we've seen it like 10 times where teams just try to hold on and they just can't. You can see it coming and you can't stop it, and it's absolutely cooked.
Oh, GWS are going to feel sick. We'll get to that game in a minute. We spoke about it last week. Getting $2.30 for Port at home and 8.5 points was gambling 101. You just had to take that. I didn't take it. I don't think you took, because we just thought the Hawks were probably going to win. It was just gambling 101. Even if you lost, that was the right side to be on. Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, and then we said last week as well, we're like, if you could take the $1.30, would you take Giants plus 13 or Brisbane plus 20? And we both said we'll take Brisbane because we think it's probably going to be close in the end if a team does get over the top. So we're actually 2 from 2, Jeff. We didn't put it on, but guess the lines, we're actually 2 from 2. We said if we put our betting hats on, this is what you should do. But we usually bet with our
At
knobs.
The end of the show, we'll get to next week's games and the lines and stuff. All the showies. I can't wait. But let's go back to Friday night. This was an all-time game of football. The intensity, the speed, how hard they were going. I had to go outside for a little walk at quarter time because my heart was racing that much because I was just so jacked up. Port Adelaide win by, how much was it in? 3 points, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Port Adelaide win by 3 points. Hawthorn had their chance to win it. Port should have just won. Hawthorn got in front. Oh, it was just an absolute epic final. Crap happened at the end we'll talk about as well. But talk to me about this game, Das.
Oh, just if you're the Hawks, it's just that start, isn't it? They've been able to start really well most of the year and just be able to get their run. And Port Adelaide obviously went to work. Butters said in the post-match press conference that we watched so much tape this week. We just did not allow them get any space, which you could see. I was at work for us. So I only really had it in the ears, which it sounded like an all-time, especially all the group chats going off. But I was able to go back and rewatch the whole game. And every single time Warple, Newcomb just try to step through stoppage, there was someone there. Like, how many smothers were there? Like little tip balls off. And just the amount of like physicality and like they were just pressing. Even like Jordan Sweet. Some weeks looks like Jordan Sauer, Jev, but he really went to Lloyd Meek. And a few of the boys that were even chatting, Lord Meek must have been just reading too many columns and listening to too many pods. How good he's trying to step through blokes.
Sell candy.
just give it to the little guys. But as you said, it was a pure finals game. Physicality was up. The crowd was awesome. We had a few people that we knew that were in Adelaide and said that the atmosphere was just 10 out of 10. Everyone came to play. I think everyone did their little bit. The smalls for the Hawks really couldn't get firing to start off with, but Rosie got into the game early. Horn Francis was starting to get into it. We weren't sure how Butters was going to play. He looked like he was the instigator as opposed to the Hawks going after him. He was lining up blokes, running a million miles an hour. Ollie Wines was just able to do it. There wasn't too many guys that had 1,000,000 touches, was it? So it was John Newcombe had 31. And then Jace Burgoyne played his greatest game he will ever play. I watched most Port Adelaide games, and he just doesn't really get near it enough, or he'll butcher it. He played so well. So well.
Unbelievable. He would be, and Port Adelaide would be so proud of the way he played off halfback.
Yeah.
Like, plug and play a little skinny, tall kid to play like that in a big final. He just lives up to the Burgoyne name, didn't he? Just Silk. He was just Silk Junior. Like, he was just... I was so impressed by the way he played. There's little murmurs dust last week when Zach Butters got subbed off at halftime with the sore rib, but they were saying he had a bit of anxiety about it, and then he couldn't calm down his breathing. So in a way, and he was breathing super heavy, like you get if you get some anxiety, and then his rib, he couldn't calm himself down, so his rib was hurting. So then they sort of subbed him out, and then they started him on the bench. They started Horn Francis on the field. And the way he came on and attacked that footy and the speed he was playing on, it's like, start on the bench, calm yourself down, and then when you get on, go as hard as you want. It was just incredible to watch. The game was just everything about it, like the maturity Hawthorn showed. So this, I just always thought when a team puts real pressure on the Hawks, like I thought the Swans were going to do it to them next week. They're going to get real pressure on them, and they're going to go to water a bit. Like, they're good. They've won the 12 or 14. You know, they're a bloody good side, but it's a bit different. I am so impressed with their maturity and the way they stood up in that game, and they didn't blink. And even when Port got on a run or Port kicked goals or like big tackles and they were starting to get pinned holding the ball, like they kept their heads. Sicily's obviously an awesome on-field leader. They're well coached, and they kept themselves in the game the whole game. Yeah, that showed me like they are ready to, you know, win big games, win prelims, because I thought they were a young team. You put some real pressure on them. Port Adelaide probably knew that. I thought that how hard Port Adelaide went in that first quarter, I'm like, they're going to be buggered by the fourth quarter. Like, they're going to be exhausted, and Hawks are going to run over them. They're not enough goals in front, but it was just... Yeah, if you could write a script of a final, you write that game. It was the perfect final.
The question was posed throughout the week because obviously Kane Corns came out and said maybe Butters needs to grit his teeth a little bit more and just get a little bit tougher. But what no one really asked was if it was a do or die game last week for Port, would Butters have stayed on?
Yeah.
So he probably would have. But because they almost had the week off, he was like, we're a few goals behind. Because he looked Mickey Mouse. Like,
yeah, he really
didn't look like someone that was trying to just like, we're just going to claw him out there. Like, he looked ready to go. As you said, with the Hawks being able to at least win a final, it wasn't, as you said, like this growth for them, it's not like they made the finals and then they just bumped straight out. They had a great win against the Dogs at the MCG, biggest home and away crowd in fucking forever, 97,000. And then they've gone to Adelaide, and essentially it's a flip of the coin, another 3 minutes, Sicily doesn't hit the post, and they're into a prelim. Like, this is so big for that group. Now they know what it feels like. You hear what Cripps said last year when the Blues went on road. He's like, no, we know what finals feels like now. Like, this is different. This feels different. The intensity is different. It looks different. It's umpired different. Like, we all understand that. So for the growth for these players, and you start to think if they are getting Barras and Battle, then where else can they sit a few of the other pieces? Because Sicily, 4 or 5 times this year, when they've been cooked, they just put him forward and he kicks goals. He had like 4 shots on goal. The post, the one from the goal square that he missed, kicked another one. Like, he's such a good footballer. And you start to think, where is he utilised best? Because maybe if you do get Barras and Battle playing more of that lockdown, I think Frosty will obviously going to get nudged out of that side. Can he literally just be that loose player, like how Darcy Moore was when he was All-Australian fullback? I know that Sicily's been All-Australian a few times, but literally just play him loose. Like, just be a ball hawk and then just be a quarterback from the back line and then just feed it to your players, because that's where he looks most dangerous. But him up forward, like, I don't know, get Mitch Lewis back. Gunston will probably get bumped out in the next few years. Cole Shadir needing to obviously step up a little bit more. There's so much to like about them. But a few guys definitely didn't have their best games. Like Connor McDonald, like only the 10 touches. He didn't really get into it. Massimo D'Ambrosio had an unbelievable year, but still Probably would have liked it more. Only 18 touches. Warple, 18 touches. When those guys can get their hands on a little bit more, they look a lot more damaging. But Port just shut them down. Absolutely shut them down.
I think Sam Mitchell will be giving Darcy Fogarty a bit of a call and being like, why'd you lube up the mechanical bull? Because I thought Jack Ginnivan was fumbly early, like super fumbly. I think he felt the pressure a bit. Did kick 2 nice goals. He composed himself. But I think because they said he apologized midweek for the comment. He's like, sorry, boys, I shouldn't have fucking said that. Never deleted or anything. Obviously owned it. But I think he put pressure on himself of that moment and everything. I thought he was a bit fumbly at the start of the game. Speaking about Sicily, yeah, he is an all-time, just a footballer's footballer. And yeah, when he plays loose off half-back, he's as good as anyone at just marking the ball, reading the ball. He doesn't even care where his opponent is. If he decides he's marking it, he fucking marks it. He's as good as anyone in the league. I can see them going, yeah, Barras, Battle, you guys are arm on the keys. Whether you get done or not, Sicily, we just want you as loose and general as you can get. And then if he just decides on the field, if you need to go forward and kick a snag, go for it. He will just be whatever he wants to do on the field, and he'll have that license. I think he already does. Sam Mitchell always jokes. He's like, I don't really get to choose what Sicily does. He just does what he wants out in the field. And he's going to be such an important footballer for him next year.
Well, the comparison that you have in that position when they both do at their best. So the only 2 players I can recall to get 40-plus disposals and absolutely deal from the back line is Sicily and Tom Stewart. Tom Stewart did it twice last year. Sicily did it against the Pies. And who else did he do it? He did it at home against
the Saints at Marvel Stadium. Remember,
Saints at Marvel Stadium. He kicked the goal.
Yeah.
So that's the mold of the position.
Yeah.
Like you get to play that Tom Stewart role where you just roam around, intercept mark, and you absolutely deal and just try and get the guys rolling forward, and then go forward if you have to and kick a goal. Like imagine that. Imagine having that luxury. So just want to talk on Port's resilience, I suppose. It's like, so you start the last quarter, the Wiz gets an absolute crumb, like beautiful, runs through, kicks his third, and then they just whack 3 on the beak of the Hawks instantly. They just go bang, bang, bang. And then that was just that little game breaker, wasn't it? And then the Hawks had to then really try and fight back at the end. And you can't script it. Like there was so many moments towards the end. If there's one thing that the Hawks, I think, whether they just thought they had more time, but I really thought that they just held on to the ball for too long. Chol got caught a few times where like the Wiz was out. Weddle got caught a couple times. I think they just thought they were a bit quicker than Port. Like they just had to give a couple over the back, and they got Jarman Impey got pinned holding the ball in the middle from a Darcy Byrne-Jones tackle, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then that went back the other way. Like Port just tackled so tough. Like
it shows how confident Hawthorn are right now and how much confidence they play with. But Port obviously saw on tape, like, they hold on to the ball a little bit. Like, they try and break that first tackle. Make sure you stick it. So Port, went to work on this film, as you said. Marbiol Chol had a shocker. Nick Watson does. Talk to me about the Wiz. Talk to me about Nick Watson. Because I think we're going to have 2 different opinions on this, so I'm excited to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I'd messaged the group instantly straight away, and I was like, he's the best forward in the comp. All I heard when I had it in my ears was he's kicked a goal. So no matter what I was going to say, I was just going to post that into the group. So thought the first quarter, well, he got that fucking head-high tackle, didn't he, the first 10 seconds in the game. That was a massive kick, by the way.
Yeah, he got onto it.
It was a massive kick. So he's obviously got that little arc. Didn't get near it too much after, like, on it, only like bits and pieces. And then obviously milked that one from the boundary. That's just him, yeah? Like, that's why he's in the side.
That's what you get him for.
Try and make a sniff out of nothing. Buried that one. That kick coming, who kicked it to him? That next one up on the lead, because that was unbelievable. I don't know what else he could have done. He was covering him perfect, went back, slotted that, and then that crumb obviously in the third quarter. Would love for the Wiz to get a little bit more of it, but I think for a fucking first-year player, sorry for swearing, in a big time, he's kicked 7 goals in his first 2 big finals. I think he's done great, and I was just starting to look at a few numbers from like what he's done this year. Like, so what is it? It's his first year. He's played 17 games. He's kicked 22 goals and 26 points.
Yep.
Like, that's pretty good going for your first year. And he's had what? Like, probably 10 out on the fulls.
Yeah.
And 10 that haven't made
50
the
shots on goal in your first year. You take that.
So I just wanted to look at like the other best three, what they've done. So Cyril Rioli in his first year, what he played 25 games. He had 24 goals, 19, which is pretty good over 25 games. What did Stephen Milne have? So he had 17 games in his first year, had 27 goals, 20 behinds, which is unbelievable. And Eddie Betts in his first had 19 goals, 12 behinds. But then within the next year or two, so Stephen Milne in his second year kicked 50 goals, which is unbelievable. Eddie Betts had 20, 21 the next, 25 the next. So he had a few years going a little bit slower before he had his big year. And then Cyril was never like the massive goal kicker. Like he had 24, 21, 27, 29, but still getting, as you said, around that 50 shots on goal. So obviously he came through late. So if we're looking at numbers from where he wants to go, what did we set his line as? I think I said 30 at the start of the year.
I think we said his number 34. Like 33 and a half, I think.
Yeah, I think we said his number 34. So I think for his first year, definitely started slow, playing 17 games. I think he's had a great year. I find him so exciting to watch, so I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
But no, he's in the best small in the comp. If I'm rating every player, actually, I'll come out at the end of the year. He's not the best forward in the comp, but I'm loving exactly what he's doing. He's the best finals small so far.
Yeah. When you said he was the best small in the comp, obviously I loved you saying it, but I was so excited because I'm like, he wasn't even the best small forward on the ground.
No, he wasn't.
Willie Rioli was 10 out of 10 in this game. Yeah. Best small forward on the ground. I feel like, I didn't want to say it last week. I didn't want to be mean. It's like, so he's kicked 4 in his first final. No one's ever going to take that away from him. Felt like he had 4 kicks last week until he gave that one over the top. He had about 3 sort of land in his, or 2 land in his lap. And it's like, it's still the role of a small forward. When you get your opportunities, you kick him. At halftime, he was nowhere to be seen in this game. Then he had his 3 opportunities and he kicked 3 goals. Watching the game, it felt like he had 3 kicks, 3 goals, and that is the job of a small forward. When you get your chances, you got to kick him. But he had the 9 touches. He had 0 goal assists. He still did his job. I think I'm completely wrong on where I rated him. I thought like taking a small forward at pick 5, I'm like, what are you doing? This kid can obviously play. When he kicked that 2 goals in a minute, they cleared out the forward 50, put him in the square against Miles Bergman. They're like,
which is wild.
They're like, no, this kid, they know how good this kid's going to be forever. So I reckon I'm wrong in the sense of, he's going to kick a lot of goals in this competition for a long time. Whether I would have taken him in pick 5 is still up for decide. Sam Mitchell in his press conference after the game said, we haven't had a pick 5 since Lance Franklin. So they've gone, if you think about Bud, then Nick Watson, but he's going to kick a lot of goals. But it just felt like he had 3 kicks, 3 goals. He didn't do much apart from that. But that's what small forwards do. You just got to take your chance and everything. But Willie Rioli was clearly the best small forward on the ground by an absolute mile. So you look at his game. So Nick Watson, we'll go through Nick Watson's game. So he's kicked
3 goals, 9 touches.
3 goals, 1, 9 touches. He had 4 score involvements, 0 goals assists. So 4 score involvements means his 4 touches that turned to 3 goals, 1 are his only score involvements. So like that is still the role of a small forward. I'm not going to read that, but you go to Willie Rioli's game.
Yeah, he had 8 score involvements, 3 score assists, 2 goals,
8 score involvements, 3 direct goal assists. He was so clean, so smooth. And Blake Hardwick's bloody hard to get a kick on. And he made him look second rate. He was getting him out. He was clean leading up to the ball. He was getting out the back. He was dishing it to better guys. He just made stuff happen. The kick-in board, I can't remember who did it. Jason Horne-Francis's kick to Willie Rioli, that was like a quarterback throwing a deep ball. That was an all-time kick, mark, finish. Just if you were at that game, you just would have, even Hawthorn supporters would have given that a clap. That was just unbelievable. Yeah, but what a game by the Smalls. Like Darcy Byrne-Jones, he's more of a mid-size. He's kicked 2. Guinea's kicked 2. Dill Moore kicked 1. Jace Burgoyne, he's not necessarily a small forward. He kicked 1. Luke Bruce came on and did his job, kicked 1. He's given the 300 the big show. Well, that was funny as.
I think that's my favourite celebration from a Hawks player this year. He's just... It's so good.
Oh, Gunston looked a bit old, didn't he? He didn't have a touch. He didn't go near it.
Yeah, I think he had 2 touches. But as you said, with the smalls, you want to become a player that you have to, if you're a small defender on them, you have to be on them, switched on 100% of the time.
Yep.
That one where Willie Rioli kicked a goal with 3 seconds to go.
Yep.
Out the back, perfect. You've lost him for a second.
Yep.
You've lost him for 1 second. But as you said, you need to be having more score assists. You need to be getting more tackle pressure, getting involved in more chains of play. Watson was playing a bit closer to goal. As he said, as Sam Mitchell likes, they want to be up the ground so they can get near 20, but close to goal where they can kick 2 or 3. At the moment, what Nick Watson played, he was like a kicker in the NFL, Jev.
Yeah.
They wheel him out. You've got your 3 shots. Hey, we need you to make these.
Yep.
We need 3 points on the board. You go through, you make them, then you're off. That's almost what he was like. Like, he was great in front of goal, made the most of his chances. We need you to kick this here, but need to get involved a little bit more. Like, Willie was just, as you said, up the ground, back. He just looks so dangerous. But that has to be the key role. I remember, like, even in like local footy, sometimes if you didn't have a big key forward, just put a small back. Especially in the twos, if you were lining up on some guy that was like
a fat back pocket like me.
Yeah, mate. You sit. I remember you sit in full forward. You run him up to the 50, and then you turn around. Yeah, and you just beat him back to goal.
Kick a grubby ball into the forward 50. Yeah,
and you back them. They back themselves 1-on-1 as well. Like, if they have to dance around someone, they can get on their left, get on their right. So it's definitely an interesting way to look at it. But Horn-Francis, and if anyone can, I'm not sure if you can go back and listen to it on SEN. They had Jared Waitley, Dwayne Russell, Kingy, and Cornsey. It is the best commentary of all time. Kane and Kingy in real time. And all I heard was like, is that Patrick Mahomes out there or Jason Horn-Francis? Because that ball to Willie Rioli. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my Lord.
Yeah. It was so good. What was I going to say? Oh, it's very exciting for Hawks fans. So they've been vindicated by the pick 5 and the year Nick Watson's had. Now it's so exciting to see what they do with him this offseason and then how he plays next year. Because if they reckon they've got the matchup, remember we were there round 1 against the Bombers and we were probably putting too much pressure on him, but he was playing the worst role of all time. Like, he had to play out the fat side and just run the wings and the hinge, and he actually wasn't allowed to go for the ball. Nah. It was so hard to watch. And now by the end of the year, he's playing 1 out in the square in a final inside the 50. So next year, there's going to be times where they'll put Cole Shadir on the bench, Jack Gunton won't be playing, and they'll clear out the 50, and it'll just be him, or he'll be getting up the ground. He's going to be a polarizing player for a long time.
So what do you reckon about Cole Shadir? Because I think watching him, and you watch the tape, he does, like, Gunston's like his babysitter.
Yeah.
So Gunston literally takes 1 or 2 guys and just blocks for them, and he's like,
go. And he just runs and jumps at the footy.
Now go. So without Gunston, is eventually, obviously, Cole Shadir is going to get better, but who's going to be able to do that role for him going forward? Because it looks like when you watch the tape, Gunston has every bit to do with it. He's literally just blocking for him. He's like, now go there, now go there. So it'll be interesting to see, but look, I just can't believe, like, when you look at these stats on some of the players, like, so many blokes under 20, but that's what a final is.
Yeah, Jai Newcomb was unbelievable. He is such a good. I'll tell you who was unbelievable as well. Willem Drew. The second half, the smothers, the tackling. What did he end up with? 18 touches. 18. How many tackles? 8 tackles. If, like, people that watch this game, do they have 1%ers or anything?
Yeah, they do. They've got 1%, 3 1%ers.
23 pressure acts. Just the amount of, tackles he got to cause a turnover or a little hand in or a smother. If you watch the game, you're like, nah, Willem Drew was the key, because I think it was the first stoppage out of halftime. They finally had the midfield. Rosie, Butters, Horn, Francis. Butters just ran from the sweeper to get the ball. So did Horn, so did Rosie. And they just left themselves burn out the back, and Warple just ran out of the stoppage, got the stoppage. Then they put Willem Drew in there, and you go, now you know why Willem Drew plays so much. He was just brutal in there. I was so impressed by the way he plays. I'm a Morgs Drew supporter for the rest of my life. He was great. This game was just awesome. We got to talk about, I know everyone's had their opinion after the game. What happened after the game? Kenny chirping to Ginnivan, Sicily losing it, whatever. Talk to me.
I'm all for it. As like most people are saying, it probably shouldn't be the coach. But if you put yourself out there and you say, hey, we're going to see you in 14 days, and then you lose, I don't mind a bit of a chirp back. But also, it's almost like you're just waiting at the end to chirp back. Like, I would have loved chirp back throughout the week.
Yeah.
Like, play it while it's live, and then at the end almost shake hands as opposed to waiting till it's finished and then having a crack. But I honestly don't care. Like, I love it. I like, as a mutual, when we said last week, like, I love what Guinea's saying. And you're like, yeah, because he's not at the Blues. I said 100%.
Yeah.
If it was Jesse Motlop talking shit, I'd be cracking the shits. But I love the theory of it. I think this is the way that the game's going a little bit more. Jack Ginnivan's so smart. He will never, like, the amount of cashies he's going to do once footy's done, the amount of sport talks.
He'll never be broke.
He's an absolute genius. Like, his own brand is probably the biggest in the AFL.
It's close to. For a polarized, he's the most polarizing 21-year-old guy. Yeah, so my take on it, Das, like, yeah, this is what we laud the Hawks for, the TikTok Hawks, their brashness and their night celebrations and everything that's cool gets put on Insta and TikTok and the way they kick goals and they chirp and all this stuff. We laud them for it. But when it comes back to bite you got to be able to cop it, right? I just wish Ken Hinkley didn't do it, the 60-year-old man. But I would have loved to see Butters and Rosie and Alir and these guys going to Jack and doing this thing going, how are you getting to Sydney, Jack? Do you want to live with us? Like all this stuff. Because they should have. He shouldn't have said those comments. He put himself out there. I wish it wasn't Ken. Got nothing, and I've got nothing wrong with the way Sicily reacted either. He's protecting his teammates. He's the captain of the club. I actually don't think it was that bad at all. As you said, it would have been. I wish Port had the balls to do it in the game. And then, because imagine they were doing it in the game, they were getting into Ginnivan, and then they lost, how Ginnivan would have acted and all this stuff.
Oh.
But all straight away after the game, shake hands, little thing. Talking to Morgs yesterday, like, how would have Chris Scott handled that sort of thing? Because Ken probably handled it wrong. He got it wrong. He probably shouldn't have been the one chirping. Other people could have chirped. And we all hate Chris Scott. He gives us the shits, but we know how good he is. Chris Scott would have gone up to Jack Ginnivan, just shook him in the hand, shook his hand, looked him in the eyes, good game, Jack, and just walked off. And that's it. And that would have been enough to just be like, I would have, infuriated, but what it is. So it is, I don't know if they got it right, they got it wrong, but you can't say that and not get the consequence in a way. Like, he had a shocker. He fumbled. His goals were nice. When he finished them, they were nice, but he had a bit of a shocker. He was fumbling. He looked nervous. He did compose himself. But even when he kicked his goal, he went to the crowd, got him up and about. Like, you got to be able to take it back. You can't just give it out and not take it. So, yeah, he had to take it back.
But as far as theatre goes, like,
it was amazing.
No, but when you think about how much it's been blown up, he said, see in 14 days is in, like, he's been like, fuck it, we're going to win anyway. And then all Ken Hinkley did was talk back to him. Like, it's not even it's just a bit of banter that's been absolutely outblown. Like, you want more of it. Ginnivan seeing where the future of AFL is going. This is all fighters do.
Yeah.
All fighters do is just promote them. Like, he's must watch. Are you tuning in to watch LDU versus Fremantle every week? Like, maybe because he's football. You're watching what Jack Ginnivan's doing. You're watching Conor McGregor every fight. Sean O'Malley's they're trying to become these players. Like, you're going to the games.
Yeah, great call.
Whether either you want to see him win or you want to see him fucking lose. And when you want to see him lose, then you want to see what everyone else has to say about it. He's a genius. Like, this is where the game is going. Like, you're not going to watch, Bodie Hewland have 20.
That's what the Gold Coast Suns should get some swagger about them. And I know they've done fuck all in this league. Come out this year and say we're going to win the flag. Every time you win, fucking sell. You know what I mean? Like, make yourselves must watch and then be polarizing either way. So when you lose, everyone talks about you. Like the Pies. When they lose, everyone talks about them. When they win, everyone talks about them. Like the Dallas Cowboys, like the Lakers. Like, the Suns should just get some nuts and be like, Noah Anderson's winning the Brownlow. Matt Rowe's winning most courageous. We're winning the flag. Ben King's winning the Coleman. Stop us. Come and stop us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I was so over Hodgie, Jordan Lewis, fucking Derm Brereton, all crying like Ken Inkley bloody shot someone. Fucking Hawthorn and their arrogance. Just fucking cop it. Like, you praise this new age Hawthorn, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, we wouldn't have done it. Hodgie's always like, oh, I wouldn't have done it. But, this is the new age. And then they whinge like crazy when it comes back to bite them. Too many Hawks people in the media. I fucking hate them. I know they won so many flags, but anyway.
I can't stand Jordan Lewis.
Oh, Nathan Buckley and Jordan Lewis will box next gather round. They hate each other.
Did you hear him go at it again?
Yeah, I heard it all. They hate it. They agree on nothing.
Jordan Lewis is like, oh, that was embarrassing, like for Ken Inkley. All this goes on for like 3 minutes, and Kath just did it perfectly. She's like, Bucks, what do you think? She's like, yeah, I disagree. He's like, it's not that big of a deal. It was so good. Let's get into some odds.
Yeah, so I've got Port with 233 head to head, 1 to 39. You could have got $2.75. Like, that was just the play. Connor Rosie kicked the first. I got first here as well. Connor Rosie was 26 to 1. Let's go goals. Port Adelaide goal kickers.
Georgiades, Mitch Georgiades. What a man, our man.
He kicked three at $3.05. Darcy, this was the week. They've been saying for 5 years, no big men have kicked bags in finals. This was the week that finally changed. Apart from Joe Danaher kicking 4 in the grand final, it was like no one had kicked 3 or more in 5 years, and it changed this week. So Georgiades kicked 3 at $3.05.
Do you have all the teams, or do you want me to go just
No,
Port?
I've just got Port Adelaide. So Willie Rowley was $2.12 for 2. That was gobble up.
Darcy
Byrne-Jones. They must have thought he was playing back. I couldn't get Darcy Byrne-Jones. That's interesting. Maybe.
Yeah, because obviously Houston Farrell, they would have listened to the pod. And then
Horn for 1. He's like $1.30 for 1.
Jace Burgoyne.
Jace Burgoyne was $4.30 for 1. Todd Marshall was $1.30. Connor Rosie for 1 was $2. That's nice. Now go Hawthorn goal kickers.
The Wiz.
The Wiz was $4.40. You got an odd boost to what?
7s.
And then once you backed it and put it on our Insta, it went down to $5.99. So I got it at 6 to 1. So I had $10 for $60, which is nice.
That's why you love him, Jev.
Guinea for 2, $2.45. Sicily for 1 goal 2. Oh, Sicily's posters. The poster he kicked at the end.
He flushed it.
He kicked it so weird. Like,
just out to and just hooked it.
Like, this is what my kicks do. I got to get a bit of extra distance. Like, watch this thing come back. And like a golf shot, he's like, I'll put a bit of draw on it. But then it sort of fade into the post. I don't even know what happened in that kick. How good was the mark to take that, to get that shot at goal? And let's go touches.
So John Newcomb for 30 had 31.
John Newcomb for 30.
Which is going to be horrendous odds.
Was $3.90.
Burgoyne for 25.
This will be nice. Surely this is nice. Jace Burgoyne was $6.25 for 25.
It's not bad. Ollie Wines, 20. No, these are all going to be shit.
Logan Evans for 20 was $2.20. Ollie Wines would have been diddly squat.
Harry Morrison.
You know how you always say, how many touches do you have?
23.
Yeah, he was $2.50. You know, we always say Aaron Francis isn't a Swan. I look at Harry Morrison, I go, he's not a Hawk, because I wouldn't know bugger all about him, but he's actually a pretty good player, isn't he?
No, he is, but unfortunately, like, you swap him out, you put Day back in that side. Like, that's the spot he's taking.
Yeah. And when Battle and Thingy come in, fuck, yeah. That was a good game of footy.
Oh, such a good game. Well done, boys.
Such a good game. And now, and even bloody just as good game of footy, just an entertaining game of footy. The next game, the Giants were up by 44 points after being up by 28 points against the Swans. They've gone from about 3 minutes away from being in a home prelim to going home. They've lost by 5 points, 105 to 100. I don't know how they lost this, Das. Talk to me.
They kicked 5 goals 3 to 3 goals 5 in the first quarter. Brisbane just missing their tackles, missing their shots on goal, and you're like, this has been Brisbane all year.
Jimmy Peatland.
Yeah. What a start to the game. Just making Zorko accountable, kicking 2 goals directly on him. That second one was beautiful. Tap, crumbed it, snap, beautiful goal. Looked like that they had a bit of pace back in the side. Darcy Jones, when he's running, he just looks so sharp. Like
Yeah.
they were just winning contests. They were moving the ball well. Finn Callahan, our man, I've never seen him look quicker.
Yeah.
He looked so good. He had a couple of runs from the back pocket all the way up into the wing to the half forward. And that's what I was so looking forward to him playing next week. I'm like, he's going to run his guts out. Like, he looked really good. Oh, and then, well, Bedford played really well. Like, he did the job on Neil. Neil didn't get near it.
He's got him 3 times this year.
That first bit at half back, did the step, and then they went through.
Yeah.
And then the tsunami went forward. Toby Green was getting his hands on it. Jesse Hogan was unstoppable. He put the pain on pain. Like, every single time the ball went in, his hands are just almost up already. And he's like, this is where it's going. And he just clunks it every single time. The best pack marker we've had in forever. Like, I actually can't remember. Like, Levi Casbolt, but better.
How well does he read the ball in the air? As I was saying, he doesn't wrestle as much. He sort of just, you see him, he like steps away, steps back into it, jumps up, he takes it the highest point, and you just can't defend him. You can't get touch on him. Like, the way he moves, the way he sees the ball in the air, he was having an all-timer, like an absolute all-timer. Then he got that free kick and being a fucking played on and kicked a point. Oh, stay in the first half. Yeah, it was just goals getting kicked. GWS were just doing this was the Brisbane we sort of saw all year. We saw patches of another Brisbane, but they were just kicking goals at will, weren't they?
Yeah, and then just the way how they were doing it as well. Toby was getting involved, really solid entries, moving the ball. And then the turning point, I know it was still early, but having Cogs get that concussion,
that was bad
injury. Then Xavier O'Halloran came on early, which is fine. He's been a really good player this year. Had a game where he kicked 4. I think it was against Brisbane earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Down in Canberra, like kicked 4. Like, he's a good player, Xavier O'Halloran. But the knock on them, and I still didn't believe it, when they got to 3/4 time, they were 21 points up against the Swans. They were like 24 points up against Brisbane. And everyone's like, look, we saw it last week. Is there a bit of scars from last week? Will Brisbane run over the top? And then Kingy's like, oh, look, we've seen it last week. It could happen. Joey was more on it. Like, we've seen it. Like, this 100% could happen. But you just didn't think that Brisbane were going to run over the top.
Yeah.
And they just, every time they went forward. So I think in the last quarter, 46% of entries resulted in a goal.
Yes, it was just goals.
46% of entries. Almost every second time it's coming in was turning into a goal. Zorko got himself into the game by going forward and kicked 2 goals. Just non-defensive at all. He's just like, fuck it. We're already behind by this far. I need to come back and go. So he kicked 3 goals, 1 goal in the second, 5 goals in the third, and another 6 goals in the last.
Yeah, so I'm looking here. So Lockie Ash kicks a goal with 18 in the 18-minute mark of the third. Then it went, this is to finish the third quarter, at the 20-minute mark. It went Lohman, McInerney, Cameron, Bailey, Zorko. So they got it back from that 40 to 20, or I think it was even less. And then it went O'Halloran, Jesse Hogan, and it was back to that 24-point buffer or whatever you said. Does it say? And then the fourth quarter started with a Toby Green goal. So that I can't even remember how much they were up by. It was close to 30 points. Yeah, 29 points when Toby Green kicked that goal. And then Hipwood, Cameron. It went, Hipwood, Cameron, Brent Daniels miss, Lockie Keefe miss. Yep. Another shocker. Then Zorko kicked his goal. Jasper Fletcher kicked a nice goal. Danaher kicked a goal. Danaher again kicked a goal, and they hit the front. It's like, what they did. So we spoke about this. When the Giants watch the tape against the Swans, it won't be that bad. They just lost about 4 2-on-1s in that last quarter. Yes. And it's sort of like 0 hitting on roulette 3 times in a row. You know what I mean? Like, you lost a 2-on-1, 0 came up, bad luck. Then you lost another one, 0's gone 2 in a row, bad luck. And it's just like, you probably were doing the right things with your structure, just 0 kept popping up. The Swans got it right in these 2-on-1s. But then watching last night, they just left Sam Taylor out in an island against Joe Danaher. Where was their loose back this time? Like, they look like they watched the tape and gone, the loose back didn't work for us. We need to keep kicking goals. We're going to leave it 18 on 18 all over the ground. No one can stop Jesse Hogan. And then Brisbane, when they started kicking goals, they just couldn't stop it. They didn't have enough numbers. They didn't have more numbers at the stoppage. They didn't have a loose back. They didn't put any ice on the game. I don't know what they watched on tape this week. They're going to be absolutely seething, Das. Seething.
Yeah, it was two different, like definitely two different halves. When you said about that defensive structure, the first half they had that. Yeah. Buckley was coming through. Everyone was playing as a unit, but best player on the ground, you'd have to give it to Will Ashcroft. The whole game, he was the only person walking out of stoppage. The first goal that Lohman kicked, he just had an individual effort where he just kept it in front, had it, picked it back up, squirted out a handball. He's done that like 10 times in the last fucking probably 10 weeks. Like his hands don't look, you watch his Insta videos and they are
cringe.
Oh my God. It's like he's talking to a 3-year-old. But in game, he's unbelievable. Like,
King said before the game,
he's only 20 years old, but it's like his 20th game, and he's so smooth, Jev.
When he touches the footy, it equals scores, it equals goals. Like, he's just got that extra bit of class. It's unbelievable. How many touches did he have? I'm just looking at it now.
27.
27 touches as a 20-year-old playing his 20th game. How many score involvements? 10 score involvements, 2 direct goal assists. Like, when the ball gets in his hands, he's just so smooth. And Lachie Neale after the game said, because Lachie Neale was obviously having a rough day, but I watched a bit they showed tape after the game. He just stayed one-on-one from Bedford. He didn't ask for help, like, come and block for me so I can get the ball. He just copped being one-on-one and having a shocker. He'd go stand on Tom Green or Josh Kelly, and he was just like, Will Ashcroft went up to Lachie Neale, 30-year-old, your captain, might win his 3rd Brownlow, and just said, just get me on the move. And Lachie Neale was just letting this 20-year-old kid just run out of stoppages, get the ball moving. I'll be on the run. It just shows the team chemistry and stuff they have. He was just awesome.
Lachie Neale said he reckons he's the cleanest player he's ever seen come through a system.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
But
Lachie Neale's clean as well.
But he's the player that they needed. Like, imagine if he had that grand final last year. They lost him. So what they didn't have Ashcroft with from last year, because it's pretty much a 12-month injury, they've now had him back for this finals series, this finals campaign.
Yeah.
And he's just been building. Like, his first 2 games, I think he got just under 20 touches, because I remember we bet heavily on him. But he's just coming into it now. And it just feels like coming into versing Geelong next week, where you would have thought that they would have been really banged up after this game, but it almost feels the opposite. It was like they were just getting their pants pulled down in the first half.
They just rolled the dice.
And then they just ran all over them
in
the second half. So Will Ashcroft was unbelievable. McCluggage was playing really well. I just can't believe that they lost.
Oh.
Like, in my head, like, there was no point in which I was like, they're going to lose this. Like, I'm like, they're playing next week. I'm like, I was just thinking Giants, Cats, it's cooked.
Yeah.
And then it just hit you. It's like, oh, they've lost.
They've lost.
So Joe Danaher as well. The Joe Danaher experience, 50% from any part of the ground. That deliberate out of bounds at Sam Taylor, he sort of tripped over and had to get a hand to it. Like, I felt bad for him. But Joey flushed it.
He straight through the middle from a drop punt. It was, and then the next kick, one-on-one with Sam Taylor, who I think is the best one-on-one player in the comp, and he just juked it, went back and kicked it. You're like, fucking hell, they've hit the front. Like, Joe's just put him on the back. He's kicked 4. Jesse's kicked 5 at the other end. So, last year, they lose that prelim to Collingwood by a point, and you knew how much that was going to motivate them in this preseason. Like, nah, they're ready to be premiership favourites this year. Then to lose this way, to be 44 points up in a semi-final when you should have had a home prelim, to go against the Cats next week, who they've already beaten at GMHBA, full-strength side versus full-strength side on the G, and now they've got to do another off-season where Toby Green turns 31, Cal Ward turns 35, Jesse Hogan turns 30, Lachie Whitfield turns 31. Like, they've got to muster up for this preseason to give themselves a chance to get back in that position, to fucking play in a prelim, to get to a grand final. Like, just today, they'd be shocked. They've done everything right. And just to be in that position, they'd feel sick.
Adam Kingsley said it. He said it last week. He said it a few times. Unfortunately, we're just a good 3-quarter side. They're great for 3 quarters. They get blown out by Melbourne the first quarter. We kick 7 on them in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Last week, 3 quarters, unbelievable. You guys run over the top. 3 quarters, they were brilliant. Last quarter, they just couldn't do it for 4 quarters. So they need to find out whether a different way, how they can, like, I don't know, not shut it down, but just looks like that they're just gassed in the end. Like, once they've played their hand, it's like, fuck, we can't do anything else. We can't play this way. They had to get the ball in their hands and just for them to start to move it around as opposed to keep playing, try and have a gun shootout with the other team. They just needed to hold possession and just
the way they couldn't get an inside 50 at the end as well. It's like they haven't trained for that. They just couldn't get it to the top of the square to give Jesse Hogan a chance, sort of thing. Like, it was just so hard to watch. And it's like, I'm not going to question the on-field leadership, but it's like, are they all on the same page from coach to Toby to Sam Taylor? Are they all on the exact same page of what they needed to do? Or do blokes start doing what's not in the structure? They just didn't know how to win that game last night. And when Brisbane just got hot, they didn't know how to stop it. Do you tighten up on your man? Like, what were they doing? Oh, they would feel sick. They are so lucky they're not Collingwood or Carlton. If that was Carlton that had lost 28 points up and lost, then 44 points, Vossi would be fired. Bloody Mackay would be traded. They're so lucky they're a bit of a smaller club in this league. And of course, they're going to be hurting their players. But
it's almost like so much of this has to go on the players. It's just like Kingsley, he coached perfect against the Swans.
What more could he do?
Like, boys, I've set you guys up.
Win it.
We've got 20 minutes. Let's get this done. And then last night, boys, I've set this up for you. We've got Neil's done fuck all. Cam Rayner hasn't kicked a goal. He's had like 8 touches. Like, everything's set up, boys. Let's finish this now. Hard at the contest. Get our hands on it. Let's move the footy. Let's not let them get a sniff. Play team defense so we don't have one-on-ones coming back the other way. Let's not let Loman kick out the back and get his tail up. Like let's just finish the job.
Yes.
And they could. And that's why I think his press conference was awesome. Like, he just spoke so well. He's like, I'm gutted. Like, I don't know what else to say, but I thought he did such a good job with this team this year. I know it's a coach's role, but in a free-flowing game when you don't have timeouts, you can't be like, boys, let's check one here. Like, let's get a timeout in the 4th and just let's tighten up a touch. Like, they had the game.
Yeah.
Binger, if he finishes that goal, or I don't know. There's so many. Hindsight's fucked.
My man in America, Colin Coward, always says about Brock Purdy and managing quarterbacks, like, here are the keys to the Mercedes. Just don't crash it. It feels like they're 44 points up. Like, Kingsley's done his job, this and that. It's like, here are the keys to a Lamborghini of the Giants. Just don't crash it, boys. Just get it from A to B. And we're driving from Sydney to Melbourne and we're playing in Prelim at the MCG. And they just joyrode it, crashed it, just got it wrong. I wonder if they'll review that or when they'll review it. Is that day one of preseason, or is that after the Christmas break, or is it today, or is it at their exit meetings? Like, how are they going to review that? What's going to happen at the Giants? I think they're losing Perryman. I think he's going to Port Adelaide. Like, oh, God.
And that's the thing, that it's not as much in the AFL as it is other sports, but like in the NFL, you've only got one real shot with these sides.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the year, the turnover in the NFL is cooked. It's like everyone's going there. People want their money. They're end of their rookie contract. So every year it's like, it's never really going to be the same.
Yeah.
Like, guys are going to retire. Like look at Texas fall off this year. Like, they had a crack last year. Like, Texas pretty much done now.
Yeah.
You have to capitalize. Like,
will
every
you get this
year. And it's not just like
Ward again next year. Like,
Oh, yeah, he's had one of his best years in the last 5 years. It's like,
now
is he going to do that again?
Toby
And then
Green has to rock up again and try and do this pre-season to get back to his All-Australian form. Jesse Hogan just had an all-time season.
Oh.
He'll be that player next year. But yeah, does he get the yips and start missing a few and all of a sudden they lose a game or does he kick 6 and they lose because they can't hold up on defense? I still love their list going into next year, even no matter what happens. They're
The
still
list
going to
is
have these key
amazing.
players.
Amazing.
But you still got to play 24 games to give yourself a chance to have a final, to get a home prelim or just get yourself in a prelim, to then get in the grand final, to have a crack at the grand final. Like, it is so hard. So hard. The Hawks will feel the same. The Hawks, I don't know if you heard it after the game, that was their only crack they'll ever get again of the no one believes in us Hawks.
Yeah, no pressure.
We're the young, no pressure Hawks. That was the Swans in 2022. We just happened to get blown out on grand final day, but we were the nobody believes in us Swans. We just happened to get blown out grand final day. That was the Hawks. Then the next year, the Swans were cooked. We just slipped in the finals, lost first final. That's going to be the Hawks next year. Now the pressure's on them. What prelims minimum for the Hawks next year? What happens if they miss the 8? Yeah, it's going to be so tough. And the competition is just so good. Collingwood get the offseason now. GWS do one hammy in a preseason and Toby Green does what Callum Mills did this preseason and he just doesn't train enough. Oh, I feel sick for him.
But especially they would have thought, if they just close out against the Swans, they're playing next week in a prelim.
Yes.
In a home prelim.
On Friday night in Sydney.
To make a grand final.
And now they're having beers at the pub on Silly Sunday.
Against Port Adelaide, which they would have loved. It's
Brisbane in the rooms after the game, even they couldn't believe it. They're just we just pulled off a Houdini. Look at that. Ta-da sort of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into some odds. Do you have the stats here? So we'll go goal kickers first just because I can't open up both at the same time.
You've got goal kickers. I'll give you goal kickers.
Yeah, so Jesse Hogan 5.
Yep.
At $5.75.
He was $1.20 for 2. He couldn't even put that in your multi, but he kicked it. Anyway, Joe Danaher for 4.
Joe Danaher was $6.75. Big Joey.
Tobes for 3.
Toby for 3 goals was $3.70.
2 goal kickers. We had Charlie Cameron.
Where is he? $2.25.
James Peatling.
Jimmy Peatling, $16.
That would have been nice. And Lohman and Zorko.
Lohman was $3.35, and you couldn't get Zorko.
And then singles.
Here's a big price point. Will Ashcroft was $17 for 2.
Oh, he's kicked 0 goals too. Had 27.
And 2 direct goal assists.
Jesus, yeah.
For 2 next week.
And then you give me disposal. I got disposal on my phone here.
Yeah, so disposals we had Tom Green, 33.
He was $1.73 for 30, which is nice.
Ashcroft, 25. He had 27.
Ashcroft for 25 was $2.95. That'll be one to watch against the Cats next week.
Mm-hmm. Berry had 27.
Jared Berry, your man.
My man.
$6.25 for 25.
Oh. You know what? You know how Nathan Brown does his Maldies?
Yeah.
I reckon this is the first one he's ever hit. So I was listening to it because it was an ad when I was listening to the Hawks Port right before the press conferences. He said the Giants give 18th against opposition wingers in disposals. Yep. So look for Jared Berry.
Wow.
His line could be around 18.
And
so look for the over. He's had 27.
Wow, that's a good bet by Brownie. Well done.
Yeah. I remember it last time when he had a heap of touches. I'm like, fuck, he's been bang on this one. So well done. Zorko, 25.
Zorko, 25. So did Zorko have an all-time game or a bit of a stinker at the same time? He was $1.65 for 25. So he's had the 2 kicked on him, but then he's kicked 2 the other. He's basically won in the game. He's had 25.
I think he's had a really so I just think he's had a veterans players game. He's got held of. He's had 2 kicked on him early, and he's worked his way into the game and made sure that he impacted.
Didn't blink, yeah.
I love he copped it on the chin early, and he didn't go to soup. He worked his way into it, and he found a way to impact for his team in the end.
So the coaches' votes will come out this week for the Gary Ayres medal. So let's just say Hogan and Danaher get 9 each, 5 from their coach, 4 from the other. Is Zorko in the Gary Ayres coach votes? Because he got 10 last week.
Whoa.
Who, like, just thinking back to it, who was best on?
Well, like, I definitely think if you have to look at impact in getting your side over, he had 2 goals late, so probably a 1 or 2. Like
Ashcroft, Tom Green.
Yeah, I think I'd have Ashcroft close to best on. I know he probably won't because Hogan kicked 5 and Danaher was the one that put it through, but
yeah,
I thought he was so good. Like, if they didn't have him playing, they're not moving that footy.
Yeah,
they're not getting chances going forward.
Yeah, what a game of footy.
I thought was frisky. Hipwood is such a liability.
All right, Dash, you got your Smalls Ayres medal. What?
Yes,
Talk to me about the Smalls medal.
Yeah, so last week we had, so the Wiz got 5, Stengel 4, Papley 3, Sean Manor 2, and Graham Myers with the 1 vote. So we're still going 5 votes again. So 1 vote for the Smalls. Charlie Cameron Jev just popped up.
Kicked his 2.
2 votes. Lumen. He comes in. I thought he was so dangerous last night, popping up everywhere. So he gets the 2 votes. 3 votes, Jev. Toby Green, 3 goals, 1. He just thought that he was going to bury the side.
He still did a bad set shot in that first quarter, didn't he? But yes, he was still good. He kicked his 3. Braden Starcevic is bloody hard to get a kick on, and he did a real good job on him.
4 votes, Jev. Have to give it to the Wiz, Nick Watson. Kick 3 goals. Make the most of your opportunities. Only the 9 touches. Pretty much a field kicker like the NFL. As I said, needs to get a little bit more done. But, hey, first final series, Jev. He's done pretty well.
7 goals. Yeah.
And the best small forward for this round was none other than Willie Rioli. 2 goals, 1. 15, 16 touches, 8 score involvements.
Couple score, 4 direct goal assists. He was just unbelievable. Clean, on Blake Hardwick. Everything he touched turned to gold.
Awesome. So the leaderboard is, this is all set up for him. The Wiz is on 9 votes. Stengel's, Willie Rioli's on 5. Stengel's on 4. Papley's on 3. Toby Green's on 3, Loman's 2, Sean Manor 2, Grind Myers 1, and Charlie Cameron 1. So whoever is on the leaderboard at the end of the finals, the Smalls medal will always be named after them. So Nick Watson's in front on 9 votes. Willie Rioli's going to have a couple of big games.
So prelims next week, Das. So we've got 2 prelims. I am going to Sydney next Friday morning to watch the Showtime Swans. I'm in and out Friday, out of there Saturday. I cannot wait. I've never been to the SCG. I'm a nothing Swans, but I've never been to the FCG. Guess the lines and guess the head-to-head markets. Swans versus Port Adelaide next Friday night. Go.
Oh, yeah, odds aren't even out. Oh no, I think he posted Swans are $1.30. I know because you posted that the other day. Oh yeah, so what's the line? It's like 20.5.
20.5. Swans minus 20.5. $1.30 to win head to head. Port Adelaide 3.46. Off the top of your head, would you rather $1.30 Swans head to head, or you could probably get Port Adelaide close to 36-40 points for $1.30? Which side would you lean?
Oh, I can see party time up in Sydney, Jeff.
Can you see party time? Oh, I hope so. I don't want to be there at a loss or a heartbreaker or a close. I just want to see us win. I'm so excited. I'm super confident. Port are coming up. I know they beat the 112-point loss sits in the back of my mind. Don't worry about that.
It's a mulligan. It's a dead set.
It's a mulligan.
5 less players.
They'll watch the tape on that. We just had an all-time shocker. This time there's no Houston, Farrell. Who knows if Burton gets up? Charlie Dixon might have to play because of Todd Marshall. Like all this stuff. So I am confident. But yeah, that 112 points is still in my mind. I cannot wait to be there. I'm so excited to see how Port Adelaide rock up. But yeah, going to be so good. And then the other game, I think this is a 50-50. Head-to-head, it's Geelong $1.73, Brisbane $2.12. What do you reckon the line would be?
Well, 11.5 points.
4.5 points. Geelong -4.5. Brisbane +4.5. The bookies are telling us this is going to be an all-time prelim.
I'll take Geelong then.
I reckon it is as well.
If it's only 4.5,
So
I just
think
think
if they're going to win. Yeah, you win by 10 points. You cover the line.
the week off, they all stay at home.
In Melbourne.
Jeremy Cameron's going to be milking the cows that morning.
Tom Stewart's going to be back. They played earlier this year. It was in that monsoon at the Gabba. You go look at the game. All the disposals were Brisbane, and then all the goals were Geelong. Geelong just got them. So
What's the weather like?
it's 23 and sunny in Sydney next Friday. It says it's raining early, 14 and raining at the MCG on Saturday, I believe.
Oh, what the fuck is going on with this weather?
Yesterday, being at that local football grand final were the worst conditions I've ever stood outside in. It was hailing. We had to get out of the hail because it was hurting our ears.
Shout out to Paran, Stenny, Dubs, Chapo, Cliff,
Master.
The boys got it done against Parkside. If anyone's a Parkside fan, sorry about that. We had to go to Hatfield. It was about an hour and fucking a half
that
away.
Far away.
But no, it was good to see the boys finally win a senior flag. It makes you want to play. Damn it.
Oh yeah. It was so good. I haven't heard from them all night or today, so they must be partying.
Oh, Stenny sent me a message last night at 11:30 before I went to bed.
What did it say?
Oh, he's up and he's like, remember that time I won a flag?
Good on him.
He's having a good time. It's good.
All right.
Good roast. Hour.
Let's
2
go.
games.
Swans, I'm going to be there. Pod this week. Talk prelim. The Punters Club is still alive, Das. We just got touchdown scorers now.
Yeah, let's have a go over this. So we put this on and we're like, this is an all-time multi.
So we had 600. How much we have? $580. The first few leagues.
13 grand.
Nick Watson anytime. Willie Rioli anytime. Jai Newcomb 20. Tick. We're through.
Tick.
Jesse Hogan to kick 2. Joe Danaher to kick 1. Josh Kelly for 20. He got 20 exactly. How many touches did he have in the last quarter?
8.
He had 8 in the last quarter to get there. Jeez, he wasn't going to get there. Now we've got CD Lamb for the Dallas Cowboys anytime. Joe Mixon for the Houston Texans anytime. And then Saquon Barkley, which will be on Tuesday our time, Monday Night Football over there, anytime. He had 3 touchdowns. That's to turn $580 into 13 grand, 278. So 58 people win 220 bucks each, Das.
That's awesome.
Imagine how good that's going to be. So that's still alive.
Onto Brownlow night is going to be awesome.
Having the 220 in your account for Brownlow night is going to be amazing. So let's hope CD Lamb's in the first game tomorrow morning, the 3 a.m. game. So I cannot wait.
I'm excited.
What a good dust. Prelim week. There's nothing better than prelim week.
You know what's exciting? Next week when we talk, you could be off to a grand final.
I could be going to a grand final. I could have just been back from a prelim. So I get to go to the prelim, watch it live, then rewatch the tape the next morning on the flight home on KO. Then we can talk about it. We're going to try and go to Geelong, Brisbane as well. As long as my local footy side, the senior side, is in the grand final next week, I'm going to go to Geelong, Brisbane with you. Hopefully we can get some tickets and we're just going to enjoy.
If there's any way that we can get tickets, if there's any agencies that are listening, I really want to go to this game. Get us in a box.
Or anyone that can get us a ticket. I'll probably be able to get myself an MCC ticket, but just to get you in the building would be great.
I just want to support the smalls out there. There's a lot of them.
We'll wear our smalls tee.
Yeah, I've got one on.
Buy them now. They're awesome. Nick Watson shouts them. You have $10 on Nick Watson, you get a free smalls tee. So it costs you $10 for a smalls tee. We'll figure out how to win free smalls tee. Pod this week. Special guest on the pod. It's not absolutely locked, but it should happen. Good pod, Dust.
It's locked. It's locked.
Let's go.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.